Check one, two, three. Hey everybody, it's Michael Helms, also known as Michael the Sound Guy, and this is the Location Sound Podcast. You know, each episode we talk with location sound mixers, boom ops, and other industry pros about the various aspects of recording sound on location, whether it's for feature and independent films, TV commercials, interviews, any time where dialogue from actors is recorded. I started my career in the recording studios in New York City with some of the big artists back in the day, and later on projects for networks like HBO, Sci-Fi Channel, and the Cartoon Network. As time went by, I got out of the studio and began working in production sound. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or just starting out, thanks for joining us. All right, my guest today is a location sound mixer based out of Phoenix, Arizona. Please welcome Justin Moschcau.
Hi.
How's the weather in Arizona?
Currently, it's a cold chill coming through.
All right, Justin, when you're working as a production sound mixer on set, tell us what's in your audio kit.
It just depends on the gig. I would love to do work that allows me to have my prime package that I've got set up, and that is a 633 sound devices, and that's got 2 SRC receivers. One is block A and one is block A1, and then another one's block B1. So I'm pretty much set for whatever is needed. Hopefully we don't get thrown in a crazy situation. And then I've got Schoeps CMIT-5u. And then for if I'm in the field and if I'm indoors, I'll mostly go with the Schoeps CMC. I think it's MK41, but I'm the worst with numbers. And I just don't get geeked out about numbers. I just could care less. I just want to be able to use it in the field and like know what it's going to do for me. That's my ideal package for me.
So what do you like for timecode?
I'm using Tentacles. I've got 2 of the old Tentacles and 2 of the new Tentacles. The new Tentacles, it's amazing. I just love the Bluetooth and the syncing, and it's always matching up. I really couldn't say anything bad about the new Tentacles. But I've got the old, I've tried out the old ones. They're fine. I got them as backup if I need to. Rarely would I use 4 Tentacles and like what we get out here in Arizona. So I got the Denicky Slate bag. I used to have like a bag. It was a sound devices bag. And I had that for my 664 for the longest time. And then it pretty much had like a square front that was open and it had slots in it where I guess you would put a 411 in it or something like that. I had 4 411s for the longest time, and I just Velcroed them to my 664 in like the main pouch, and then I would throw a bunch of gunk in the front pouch. But then if I dropped something, I usually would have to like bend over and pick it up, and then all my stuff would fall out. So I was like, this is enough.
What kind of power distribution do you have?
All right, so the power distribution is just a power distribution thing. I don't know. I plug a MP1. In my 663, it's only 1 slot, so I always have to keep batteries in the mixer if I want to do a hot swap. So I just got to keep that in my mind. My 664 rig has 2 battery slots for an MP1, so I can just swap those batteries. Simple as that. It's amazing. I love it.
Well, what kind of Lav Mics do you like to use?
I've been using COS-11s forever. I had a Countryman, maybe it was EMW, I think is it? Or it could have been a B6. I just never can remember these numbers. But essentially that mic, I never use it just because it's like open. It's very open and it picks up a lot more on the outside of the person talking. So it's like if there's noise in the background, that was more susceptible to be picked up. But it also like sounded really good on women. But I don't know. I never really use that. But it costs 11s.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the projects you've worked on. You did. I saw something on your website. It was the NBC News, the Bison Roundup.
Oh, right. That's a good one to bring up. I had so much fun. Yeah, it was actually quite the experience. I think it was in October. It snowed at night one night, it was like a weird time for it to be snowing. So, but it did. The first day we were out there shooting, it didn't snow. And then we're supposed to piece that day in with the next day and it snowed. So now we're like, it is what it is, like crap.
All right. Well, what was the miking setup at that?
We weren't booming, so I can tell you that. It was all lavs. I do believe it was hidden, but it's news. So news normally doesn't care if it's showing. But I do remember hearing the guy's jacket, and that was kind of annoying because he had his like rain jacket on. Those always make noise.
What was the experience like working with news compared to other productions that you work on?
Working with news, especially in this situation, the only problem I could really think about was when I was traveling. It's like, okay, I've only got so much space to put my equipment in. What do I choose? What do I take with me? It's like a bare bones package. So then I go out there, I'm like, man, I hope I didn't forget anything. I think I had my mixer on, I take that on as a carry-on. My extra stuff, I had like a big case. I put my boom pole in there. I got like a really short one. It was just me and a camera guy. He's a local guy. And then we're in this like Airbnb essentially this is a big log cabin. It's got 4 bedrooms, so it's kind of like being in a hotel. You get your own room, so you can just like chill. But the producer was cool, and then you've got the reporter. I mean, he was really cool, very nice guy, and the producer, she was very nice to work with as well, and everyone was chill, so it was cool. As far as getting the content, it wasn't like insane run and gun. Like we had time to kind of take our time. A lot of it was kind of just like having fun, like getting B-roll. Like we did the stand-ups, we did the questions, but those were just like a few minutes. They get the content they want. I had a drone. I went and flew some drone footage for that. It was just laid back. We've got time allocated for this, time allocated for that. So I've done other new stuff where it's just like you running around, trying to keep up with like the story and what's going on. That particular episode, for what they did, I'd probably do it all the time.
I was looking at another one of your demos on your website, and it's Sniper Special Ops with Steven Seagal. So what did you do with that project?
I did most of that location audio-wise. I was doing a film in town with another mixer, and he got the call, and he said, "Do this, dude. He's got you." So he sent me out there to do that gig, kind of in replace of him. So it was just like recording locally. It was in Santa Clarita. Apparently that's like where they shot American Sniper. So it's like that set. So it's got the Afghanistan location setting. So which was pretty cool because like you show up and it's like everything's there. And then it's actually not like that big of a place. And it's interesting because you'll shoot one day on one corner being one part of the city that you're shooting in. And then you turn around and then it's like a totally different scene. So that was kind of cool. I decided, because I had to work as a local as well, they didn't pay very well either. It was interesting because like it's like they'll pay low, they paid low day rate, and just for like a basic package, I think they've done a little bit better on that, but it's like your overtime. Like we always stopped at 12 hours and it was pretty hard out, which was great. Like they were really good on that. It was a very good learning experience for me because that was years ago I did that. Their efficiency in running the set was amazing. I tried to explain it to people to this day of like how amazing that set went. So for that was really good. At that time I had a cart you get at Home Depot. It's like one of those plastic carts. And it was like running around the dirt. It was awful. So I ran down. I had a day off like not too long after. I went and got a mag liner to go over the dirt. Game changer right there. Put everything on it. It was amazing. I had to work as a local as well. So it's like really cheap, but it was such a great experience. But I got a hotel that was like 10 minutes away from set. People are sitting there talking. It's like after 12 hours a day, it's like they had to drive to Anaheim. I'm like, that's like 2 hours away. I'm 10 minutes away. It was great. I went to my hotel and like chilled, knowing that everybody else is driving back to LA. I was like, you guys are crazy. Yeah, I had to take like my rate that I was making and put some of it to like, it was the cheapest hotel I can find that was in the reasonable area, but it was worth it. The experience, I didn't, maybe I got like $1,000 out of like, it was like $100 a day, maybe at the end after everything, but it was quite the experience.
How long was the shoot?
It was like 14 days maybe, but the guy I was working with, he filled in for me at the end of it to go finish the other film we were working on because he was from LA. So he wanted to see his wife. I was like, dude, that's totally cool. I'm glad. I'm ready to go home now too. I got to do my thing. So we both did the location for it. So, but then we just swapping films back and forth.
Were there any kind of like crazy miking setups or challenges trying to make these guys sound good running around?
I mean, it's like the same thing I've heard from everybody else that's talked about it when you're doing military type of film is like what they're wearing as their wardrobe. It's just noisy. It's going to make noise. It doesn't matter where you put it. They're moving, and it, I don't have the filter to take out military uniforms. That's what the client's always saying, it's like, I don't know. I could put it on their face, I guess. But I don't know. It just seemed to work out well. I mean, there's action stuff. I don't know. I just feel like that works for it. Yeah. I mean, it's like, because that's always the conversation is, the mic noise. But if you're wearing a windbreaker, you're going to get the windbreaker no matter where you put it. But, isolating it so that you don't actually have like the scratch onto the mic, that's absurd. You can't have that.
Now, do you have any Expendables that you like to use when you're hiding mics?
I'm going to tell them my secrets now. It's that clear tape you get at Walgreens, the medical tape. No, I'll use that like moleskin. I got Joe Sticky stuff, RM11s, just depending on what they're wearing. But honestly, though, a lot of times I go with the medical tape. It's just so easy. It's fast.
You also do some post-audio work, right? So tell us a little bit about that stuff.
It's just usually like kind of balancing and sweetening out dialogue and throwing some music into it. I've got to work on some shorts, but I was like, man, it's like so bad that it's like you can't fix this. You gotta like re-record it, like everything. And then it's just like I want to do it more than I get the opportunity to do it. So when I do it, I'm trying to just help out other people. So I just do it real cheap for them just to get into doing it. And usually the location guy wasn't really a location guy.
Well, you had something else here. It was a White Russian at the Grid Games. Tell us about that little project.
So that I did that all by myself. I was going around town and I was like, hey, let me do some video work for y'all. And the guy's like, I don't have any money to pay for any of that. And I was like, fine, I get it. But I was like, dude, I totally dig what you've got going here. I just want to be a part. I want to do something. They're a video game arcade bar, and they have like a lot of retro stuff, but they have all the way up to like the newest stuff. And they had a little stage there, and then they pretty much, their idea was like put as much local brews on their tap. So I did this video. I was like, all right, hey, let's branch out. Let's go talk to the people that made the beer. So you can talk about that you sell their beer, and then maybe you can get some cross promotion. Like you guys can share it and help create some awareness for each other. So I went and I shot that. I did like the simplest E&G setup. I got my camera. I might have had like a little camera light. I probably took my audio gear. It's like I'm like the masseuse that never massages people, like when you're not working. But yeah, I think I probably just took a lav and just laved them up and made it as simple as possible. Because I know what I'm like going to use and what not. Like most producers should know how to do that, but they don't. They just like, no, just get it all right. But no, at least when I was doing that, I knew what I wanted. And so I could just like, oh yeah, there was a noise there. I knew the sound bites I needed to get and how to piece it together. So I did that. I shot it, and it was just one band shot it. I had a Phantom 4, I did some of the slow-mo stuff in. I used the Blackmagic production camera for the video, and then probably my Block 28 UM, and then fed it into the camera. It's like, yeah, I just feed it in the camera, and just nobody knows the difference. It sounds great, I think. So.
Yeah, no, it looked pretty good. And the beer looked good. And
thank you. Yeah. That song though, I thought was like pretty epic. It's like, I got to get something crazy cool in here to help beef it up. And I think it helps. I don't know. It might have been too much. Might have been a little over the top. But I went and I bought that. I paid for that because I was like, I could do music like that, but it just the ROI on the time to do that, I just wanted to move on. So
Talk to us a little bit about your social life as a freelancer. How do you get the next job?
how do I get the next job? It's been a lot of just word of mouth for the most part. I just try to be a really nice going guy out in the field, be helpful, and hopefully somebody recommends me. Then I get the gig. I got a call, I'm on a website somewhere and they're like, hey, I got a job. What do you charge? Blah, blah, blah. I do a lot as well, kind of locally with small businesses, like I was explaining earlier. Some I do, and I get, it's not like the best money, but like I still do it. And it definitely, like, when it's on my own time, I don't mind doing little things here and there. Help my friends out. I get a few bucks here, do that. I get some rental equipment income, but I just help out. I help out the other mixers. So I'll hook them up.
Are you a member of any kind of production or freelance websites?
I'm part of the Arizona Production Association, which years ago I was on as a boom operator, and I don't think I might have gotten one call from that, but I don't know because I missed that call. And then I called back and I didn't get the job. So I don't know. So I might not have gotten any boom op gigs even though I was like the only boom op on it at the time. I got no calls for that year of being on it. So I got off of it and I was like, I'm over it. And then recently I got back on it just so I could be on it. Like, whatever. I don't know. I don't think I get any calls from that, but they're working on it. I gotta say, they're working on changing that. Hopefully, being able to get it to the point of other crewing type websites as being like something that is a resource for companies to find local people.
What was your worst on-set experience?
My worst experiences were on indie films. It's just chaos, and then there's like no organization. It's a bunch of BS. Nobody wants to take. It's usually the director. Usually it's because it's like a producer, writer, director, and star all in the same film. And it's like, I just don't even want to touch that. You couldn't pay me enough at this point to be involved in that. You're there and half the crew's like, dude, if you leave, I'll go too. It's just always like that. I'm like, oh man, why are we here? This is stupid. It's like 14 hours a day. The director's crying, just begging everyone to be there. Like, let's just finish this. And it's like, oh my God. I mean, I came to set, like I had all my shit together. Why don't you? It's like, it's not that easy,
Have you ever forgotten any gear when you went to set?
Dude, that's like a great question. Because it's actually, my mentor here always says to me, yo, I'll give you gigs when you bleep forget something, or like you got to make mistakes, like once you've made enough mistakes. So far, apparently I haven't made enough mistakes because he doesn't give me any work. I was like, man, I've made a lot of mistakes. And that's one of them is I forgot my boom pole. Luckily, it was like a stupid thing. I don't even think I got paid for it, but I was just like, no, dude, we're just going to run lavs today. It's like, so we laved them up. It was fine. It was just like a few people, and there was no problems with the lavs. Like, they weren't wearing anything crazy. So like, I got away with it. They didn't even know. Now everybody knows. It's like, yeah, no, that was like, I was like, I forgot that. I thought I almost forgot my strap the other day for my bag, and I was like, oh my God, did I pack it? But yeah, I had it with me. I was like, dude, I knew I put it in my truck. It was in there. But it just stresses me out. Like, did I forget something? All the time. I'm like, crap, am I forgetting? So I just like, I try to have double everything. I try to keep everything in like one spot. And I take it out of my truck when I take my dog to the dog park, and I try to put it like straight back in and like have it all. It's like, all right, so I got this. All right. I go have like a simple list because I can't remember everything. I just try to keep them in cases and just like, all right, I got everything. And since then, I really haven't had a problem. And I'm like, oh crap, I was going to grab that extra battery, but like I had plenty. So it's like my system's working. It still just stresses me out.
It stresses most of us out. I think, you're driving down the road and you're doing a checklist in your head and you're like, oh, and you stop and pull over and check your stuff. And
yeah, it's like, why do I take it all out? I really like to get a trailer. Actually, my buddy's got one. One of like, I was speaking earlier, like one of my best friends, he's got a trailer. It's small enough to put in your garage because he was living in a place that had a restriction. Like you couldn't have it in your yard, or he didn't have a RV gate. So he had to put it in his garage. That'd be perfect. So I want him to upgrade his trailer. I'll buy his used one. It would be great. I could just leave everything I own in that trailer. Just park it in the garage, go to bed, and not have to worry about moving stuff place to place. It's like everything would just be in there. It would be amazing. That's the future.
All right. Now you mentioned a mentor. Tell us about your mentor.
Yeah, my mentor. I started PAing as soon as I graduated college. I mean, there's so many others. Like when I'm explaining stuff, like there's tangents of stories that distract me, and like I could just go so far back. But so I was in college. I did a gig, and they said, come on down. And then I finished school, and I called him up, and I got on a gig, and there he was. His name's Rusty Duggan with RD Sound. He's a great guy. He does a lot of news stuff. At the time, it was a commercial stuff. I did a few like boom op stuff with him, and he's always just been like, if you've got any questions, call me. And then he chews my ass out like he's my dad.
Well, if you could go back and give yourself some advice, what would you tell yourself?
For me, I'd say go get a marketing degree so you can actually get like a job where you don't have to like worry about getting a job every day. You get a business degree. I think everybody should get a business degree. You should understand how life works. And I don't think there's anything out there that isn't business related. Even if like you're a cashier at McDonald's, I know it's like a cliche to say, but I mean, you're still a business, like you're like your own company, and you're freelancing as a cashier at McDonald's. Like you should treat yourself as a company, a business. You're a freelancer, but you just, like a permalancer at that point. I mean, you could still lose, your client still fires you. They don't call you back. Same thing happens at a restaurant like that. So like you should know business and the terms and doing your taxes and stuff like that. It sucks. That stuff is like the worst. I was like, man, I thought, it's just going to be, I just have to record audio. Okay, dude, I would love to record audio. Oh shit. I have to like send invoices and like keep track of everything. I was like, no, I thought it could be whatever I wanted. It's like, that wasn't what I wanted to do. So, but then you got to do it.
Well, if you had a chance to talk to like some people just getting started in production sound, what kind of advice would you give them?
I guess I'll just say like what my mentor said, find your own clients. Like you can't expect other people to like give you everything what you want. I don't know, there's a lot of crummy people out there, and you just got to watch out with who you're getting ready to work with. There's a guy in town who's new, and he worked with a guy named Michael Sequoia. At least that's what he goes by now. We don't know, because he's changed his business name, his company name several times. He's got like a number of different aliases. He's like the mob guy you don't want to deal with. But he does like production stuff, and like he hires people, and like there's been a lot of people who've worked with him, and they've got horror stories. My buddy I was talking about, one of my great friends, had put a post out on Craigslist to do work. This guy contacted him. He then did, it was like more of like a commercial thing, or like they recorded like a mariachi band or something like that. He had told me the story, and I was like, man, I would never do that. Like, I think the dude had like guns on him, and he was like just crazy. It was like working with like the mob or something, and he's like, dude, I would never do anything with that dude ever again. I then, months later, goes by, I get a notification, or I see something like there's a production in town, and it was like something Coyote or something like that. And I was like, hey, yo, let's go. Hey, they're looking for people. They're doing a film. And like, they've changed their name by now. And when my buddy walked into that dude's office and they looked at each other, it was like, you're seeing your worst enemy, right? It's like, it's you. I wish I would never have seen you ever again. But then the new guy in town, I kind of mentioned this to him, like, hey man, be careful, watch out. But he needs experience, so he goes and works for him. And it's just like this, you sign this contract, but then that's not really what we're going to give you, but then we got to do this, and then, you changed dates, so then the contract changed, and it's like, man, it's like there's these red flags, and you just want to watch out for red flags, and that's kind of what I'm trying to say there for new people. It's like, just try to watch out. There's crazy people out there. Try to have some system where like, I don't even want to get involved with this, because then you might not ever get paid. You might get injured. People just don't pay attention.
Yeah. Well, if I don't know, I'll reach out to some other people that I know. Hey, do you know, what's the deal with so-and-so? Are they legit, or is it something to be concerned about? Yeah, because you don't want to end up because sometimes you're like, what? They need what?
Yeah, because I was getting a call the other day about this lowball thing, feature film. I was like, man, he just said, like, he just started talking to me. He's like a New Yorker. He's like, oh yeah, man, I'm from New York. I always pay everybody. I do this every time. And like, hey, you're all good from, like, okay. I'm like, you ask me questions and then you don't let me answer the questions when you ask them to me. I'm like, I'm already like, I don't think I'm going to, I'll sit here and play your game while I'm on your phone with you, but I don't really want to talk with, I don't want to do business with you.
Well, man, as we kind of start to wrap things up, what's the best way, if people wanted to ask you questions or get in touch with you, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
I don't know, my email, justin.moschcau@gmail, or info@jamaudio.co. It's MOSCHCAU.
You also have an Instagram account. I got to ask you a question about a bunch of pictures, your head's cut off and all the shots. So what's up with that?
Oh, I'm really tall. I'm 6'6". Yeah, so it's funny, like my girlfriend, she's my fiance now, she thought it'd be funny if I did that in a picture that we did, and then I stole her idea, and I've been doing it ever since. So I try to, like, every time I'm like with a celebrity, I just feel like, I say, hey, can we get a photo? And then I take the picture and like, dude, you cut your head off, like, and I'm like, I know, don't worry about it. I'm gonna post it on my Instagram, and then you're gonna blow up. But like, I've got like 2 followers, and they've got like millions. So it's like, they never get that joke. They just look at me like, you're an idiot. I'm like, I know. I'm not saying that because I'm serious. Like, it's pretty obvious it's a joke, but they don't have to do. Actually, what was it? I think it's up there. It's the guy from Stranger Things, the kid. Well, he's not really a kid. He's actually much older. He's like a Frankie Muniz, like they look young all the time. I did that to him. I took the picture. He's like, you cut your head off. And like, he got super offended. Like I was calling him short. But I was like, do you realize like I'm super tall? Like, it's not because you're short. It's more so because I'm tall. And like, I mean, you're all short to me. So it's a good fun thing to do when I'm out and about. Actually, I had like one guy, he didn't know I was me because he's seen all the pictures, but he's never seen my face. So when he found out it was me, he's like, holy oh, you're famous. You're like, oh, you're famous, man. I know you. And I was like, dude, this is cool. I keep doing that.
Well, cool, man. All right, well, let's wrap it up. So I just want to say thanks to Justin Moschcau for being on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me.
And I'd like to say thanks to everyone for listening. If you have questions or would like us to discuss a particular topic, email us at locationsoundpodcast@gmail.com. Please subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and on your favorite podcast app. Until next time, remember, sound is half the picture.